Pina Marino, grazie Pina per essere venuto su Radio Italia 1, Adelaide.
Grazie a te Antonio e buongiorno. È passato tanti mesi che non ci abbiamo visti.
Esatto, sì, sì. E dunque ho detto, a volte lo chiamo Ascolta Women, a volte Ascolta Donne. So che
yeah, actually, Ascolta Don. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. We call ourselves Ascolta Women. Probably the other group that sometimes we get confused with is Australia Donne.
Yeah. So, Ascolta Women Inc., you are incorporated?
Sì.
Yeah. Okay, so I said earlier that maybe we'll talk about Whyalla, because you've recently been to Whyalla and you have some connections there. But also we can talk about your writing. What are you writing and what's coming up? Etc. So, Whyalla, is there a substantial Italian community there? I know there's one in Port Pirie. Not sure about Port Lincoln or Whyalla.
So it's dwindled. At its peak, there would have been 2,000 or 3,000 people. So Whyalla peaked in I think it was about 1976, and then when the shipyards closed, a lot of people left. So they closed in 1978, and the population shrunk from there, including the Italian population. It was quite significant at one stage. So in the early 60s, when Whyalla was around 10 or 12,000 people, to have 2,000 or 3,000 Italian born, that's, quite a significant percentage of the population. I have to check those figures. That's the figure I have in my head. I was doing some research some time ago. But yeah, it has dwindled since.
Yes, and so actually they're going through substantial disruption. Again, it's been going on with the steelworks. It's been happening in the last few years, and right now things going on. What is the feeling about this in the town?
A little bit gloom and doom. That when Gupta came in and made lots of promises, the town seemed to be reviving. There was a lot more energy, optimism. But now that that's gone kaput, shall we say, then it's a bit they're a bit flat. People are still hopeful that the steelworks will continue in some form. But there's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why people have left. And one of my own cousin, who was working for the steelworks, is now up at Roxby Downs. So there's a lot of people that use Whyalla as a base, fly in, fly out. So the kind of dynamic is changing there. But the ones that are there, they're happy, they love it, they're doing their thing. I remember having a conversation with a lady I met on a bus travelling from Vasto to Monte Odorizio, where my mother comes from, and we're having a chat, and she was going to Monte Odorizio to buy a house. She wanted to relocate from Vasto, and she said to me, "Se uno si sta buona a casa, sta buona qualsiasi paese." So if you're, good at home, you can make a life anywhere. So I've always remembered that, what she said to me. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. And so I'm guessing you have family in Whyalla?
So I grew up there, and I have an auntie. My uncle passed away some years ago. So I have an auntie that's still living there, and two of my cousins. I had three cousins, one unfortunately passed away, and two cousins with their families are still there and quite content, might I say. Yeah.
Okay. And yes, and given that now Ascolta Women is a group of Italian-Australian authors, female authors, who sometimes or often have their personal stories as part of what they write. Has has your Whyalla background sort of seeped into your work, your writing?
A little bit. So for the past few years, most of my writing has been centered on my mother and a little bit about the past, but also, how things were as end of life kind of experiences. I actually have a semi-autobiographical novel on the back burner that's set in the 80s, and one of the characters, it's set in Whyalla for that period. And so that's something that I've been working on for a while, and that will reflect some of my Whyalla experience, put it that way.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's an interesting point. So how does it work, the sort of the life of a writer? You said you had this this book in the background, so do you have several books on the go at the same time, and some
Yes.
come, some go?
Yes, I tend to do this. I work on different projects. So the thing that's taken my focus is I want to do a sister book to this little one. I don't know if you can see that.
From Broder
So
to Tochter.
yeah, this is a little book which was a spin-off from another project. When I came back to Adelaide in 2020, at the height of COVID, beginning of COVID, I came back to look after my mum, who was isolated and a bit spooked by all that was going on, as most of us were. And I thought, what can we do together at home that's going to bond us and pass the time? So I decided to do a project called 100 Days, 100 Recipes, where I observed her, photographed, videoed, noted. I made a record of what she was cooking because we're both interested in cooking. And I also captured some of her anecdotes because as she cooked, she would, come out with these little phrases and little barzellette from time to time and proverbi. And I started voice recording those and jotting them down. And that worked its way into this ebook. And that was published by a fellow who's based in England, who I went to school with in Whyalla, coincidentally. So he was English boy, and they lived for a period of time in Whyalla, and then eventually he went back to Sheffield, which he loves. And he has an online publishing house, independent publishing house. And he published the ebook, but because it's such a big file, it was a bit unwieldy. People asked me to do it in print, but too expensive, too big. So I made this little book. And people like this little book. I'm surprised. I thought that just my family would be interested in it and maybe my closest friends, but there's been a lot of interest in it. So the idea for me is to do a sister book to this one, which is following on with the anecdotes and life story. And I'm going to call it, or I have called it, it's nearly finished, From Bambina to Bisnonna.
Bambina to Bisnonna, okay, and that's your mother. Okay.
Yeah. That was her life in a
yeah. And what's your mother's name?
So her name was Michelina. Sadly, she passed away on the 7th of March, so I'm still, dealing with that. And I was stuck on writing that book for a couple of years. I just couldn't finish it. And I think part of that is that once she went into residential care, due to dementia and a host of other problems, I've kind of been grieving her loss ever since. So that kind of killed the creativity, and I've been sitting on this work, and that's blocked everything else. So now that the last chapter has occurred, I've written her eulogy, delivered her eulogy, then, hopefully I can get on and finish that project and get back to the back burner projects.
Okay. Now, remind us how Ascolta Women operates, because I hear you have regular meetings online?
Yeah. So while I've been going through all this drama with my mum, I've had a bit of a break, but they've been meeting every fortnight. There's a little chit chat to start with, a bit of catch up, and then each week one member presents a prompt, introduces a prompt like an idea for writing, and then everyone switches off and writes for 10 minutes. And then go around the group and read the work and get feedback. So it's a really lovely process, very supportive, very warm, nurturing. People are quite mindful and thoughtful in the feedback, which is helpful. I've been in some writing groups which are feral and you just don't want to read your stuff out. But this one's adorable. It's really, really warm and helpful. And, it's not just, oh, I like that, or, not just platitudes, like really serious feedback. So that we meet every fortnight. I've joined them again this week. And then in addition to that, there's going to be a monthly Sunday session for the women that can't make it on a Tuesday night. Some, people with children or work long hours can't actually get there. So there's going to be this extra session. And also some art workshops, because not only are we writers, but many of us are also artists, and the anthologies that we produce, one each year, includes photography and images of artwork as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's right. And those pieces of artwork are created by members of Ascolta Women.
Yeah. So original pieces get, they get submitted, and then the editorial committee selects what they think is appropriate for each anthology. So we're up to the sixth anthology. This year, the theme or the title of the anthology will be Stories from Il Corpo, from the body. So each writing session deals with a different element of Il Corpo, and that can be interpreted as people wish it, in various ways. Some have been talking about different parts of the body. Last week's prompt was Il Corpo e la vecchiaia, so, the body and aging. So we all wrote about that. So it's very stimulating and thought-provoking, and hopefully will lead to a very interesting anthology. Our anthologies get put together at the end of the year and published around the date of International Women's Day each year, so March the 8th, around that date.
Yes, in fact, yes, I remember coming to one of your launches, maybe the first launch in Adelaide. Was it San Giorgio La Malata Club?
Yeah.
And you had Vinnie Ciccarello as keynote speaker.
Yes, yes. Right. God, that was a while ago.
Yes, right. And you have members across Australia, and I think even outside of Australia?
There's one in London, and one in Canada. I think that's right. There was last time that I was talking about these things. I don't know if she's still current, but last year she was, one in Canada as well. All from Australian background, Italian Australian.
And this started really at the time of COVID, when you realised that you couldn't meet in person, and it was possible to have these online sessions and coordinate your work.
Yes, and we've been doing it ever since. So it's really, it's been really effective, very interesting.
So what have you got so far in terms of Il Corpo, Storia del Corpo? Obviously not completed works, but what topics? You said some are talking about parts of the body, some about aging.
Yeah. So as I said, I've missed a few, but, il naso, l'orecchio, different parts of the body. Just people have interpreted it in whatever way they want. They've wanted to, And then it's just a start, and then each member, each participant writes something about that and presents it, and then gets the feedback, and then goes away. And if they want to, they can develop that further and maybe submit it down the track, or otherwise it's just a little writing exercise that we do on the night, and that's where it stays.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Someone will be able to explain in more detail down the track, closer to the time when the pieces are in and starting to form a body of work
early in the year. And if someone wanted to join the group, how do we find out about it?
So they can join there's 3 levels of participation. One is just to get the newsletter and be informed of what we're doing, and that's at no cost. And people can do that by emailing ascoltawomen@gmail.com. So we're in the process of putting together a website, but that's not up yet. Had a couple of goes at getting that organised, but that's coming. In the meantime, we use the email address for contacting people, or being people contacting us. The second level is to join the writing workshops, and there's a fee attached to that. There's a $25 annual fee. It's getting a little bit late in the year for people to join those, because unless they don't want to contribute to the anthology. In order to be able to contribute to the anthology, we need to attend at least half of the writing workshops. And then the third level is just supporting, and if people want to donate some money, $25 or whatever, to the function of the group, and not do anything else, then that's quite fine too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I see you have a Facebook page though, so someone can look up Ascolta Women. Ascolta Women, right?
I don't know how up to date that is, but look it up.
Yeah, well, the last post was in March. It's not too bad.
Okay.
It looks like you'd had a launch. Oh, yeah, of course, the 8th of March is International Women's Day. And then on the 21st was one of our sessions with Laura Di Martino.
Yeah.
Okay.
So each year for the last 3 years, we've been organising an event for the Adelaide Italian Festival in November. And that was called Prosecco e Parole, where people come along and get a glass of bubbles and then sit and listen to readings. We're thinking about maybe changing that for this year. So that's just, we're still planning that. The Adelaide Italian Festival have announced the dates. I think I won't say. It's in November.
Yeah.
I've forgotten which exactly date it is. But we are trying to work out what to do, whether we do the same thing or maybe try something different this year. So that's the other big event for us in Adelaide.
Okay, cool. Yes, I think I've been to at least one of those, Prosecco e Parole.
Yes.
Very, very interesting, and just have several interesting, important contributions from different perspectives, which is, I think, one of the benefits of this group. And I can tell, being an outsider, it does look like a supportive group, mutually encouraging, which is very, very good, very nice. And it, helps a group that doesn't have normally much opportunities to put their work out there and contribute to society.
Yeah. Cool. We like the collaborative nature of it. Often in the publishing world, people get a bit competitive, but this group is very collaborative. And I think that as a group, we are producing work that probably as individuals wouldn't see the light of day. So that's, this work would remain in notebooks and in drawers and not out in the public domain. So I think that's another aspect of it and part of the beauty of it.
Yeah, okay, cool. So let me check what I've done here. Okay, so I have to say thank you to Pina for having come on to Radio Italia Uno, giving us some insights into the Italian community in Whyalla and how it is that you bring projects on from the back burner to the front burner and maybe back again in the life of an author.
Thank you. Can I just add a tiny bit of news too?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So as of next week, I will be joining COASIT SA to help running the Commonwealth Home Support Program social support groups. So that's very exciting. I'll be with them for 3 days a week. So and COASIT SA have been very supportive of Ascolta Women. And so it's, for me, very sort of synergistic.
We'll be talking to Rosalia Panepinto later.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
She will be my supervisor. So there you go.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Ciao.
Have a good weekend.
Antonio.